Hello people, thanks for watching the video. In this one I'm going to be covering a video by Just Pearly Things, or also known as Just Pearl. She's well known in the manosphere for holding women accountable and exposing their selfishness, their insanity and their delusions and lack of accountability. And she gets attacked all the time for it, but I take my hat off to her because although she admits she's not perfect, she is able to observe, the reality and can see women for how deluded that they actually are. And that modern times is just making them worse. Because we're living in times where there's no shame. Back in the day, if a woman was overly, sexualizing herself, she'd be classed as a prostitute, and that's where the shame would come in. And she would get back in line and dress more modestly. But now it's just all about boss bees and slay bee and la-di-da-di-da, and women are equal or better than men, and men are no good, and it's all this hate. But the reality is the hate comes from bitterness. And this bitterness comes from women who have been running after the top 10% of men, and most of the women do chase these guys, and they've been abusing their youth and their looks, having all the good times, but then when they hit the wall and they realise that these top guys don't want them and they can just keep getting new girls, new women, whatever, they become damaged goods that are unwanted and they have to settle. But then the problem is they're so used to getting the top guy from their youth. Now that they've aged, they can't get the top guys anymore, and they have to start settling, and this is when they become bitter, because then they class all men as trash. Men are no good. But the reality is, all along their journey while they're chasing the top guys, they've probably broke 100 guys' hearts that would have been good enough for them, but realistically they didn't view it that way. So Pearl just kind of highlights this, and realistically is she's real. And it's a woman that can see the insanity, which is rare, and that's why I like to watch her videos. So let's watch this one.
And I asked a lot of men, what are the girls like in your country? What's it like to date here? And the thing that I kept hearing over and over is that the women in their country are very difficult and hard to please. I also noticed men in these countries will put so much more effort.
So it's a country of simps. She probably talked to a simp. Look, women are women. Don't let them sell you the dream of there's these women somewhere else that are not the same. Women act in their environment. So maybe in that environment, they're a little different, but you bring them to America, they do the same thing. Welcome to my reaction series, where I react to the foolishness of modern women on the internet. Today, we are gonna look at some of the women complaining about the dating market. Women have changed the rules of dating, and they don't like how men are responding. They are modern women that expect men to date them in a traditional way, like courting. Men have listened to women say that they are strong, independent, and don't need a man, that they can pay for their own food, and that they don't owe men their bodies or their time. Along with this toxic rhetoric, these same women have raised their standards, as they like to say. Now, this has left the average man out of the dating market and given the top 10% of men all the choice and the options. This has led to so many bitter women going on social media to complain about their experiences and the way men navigate their current dating pool. Let's take a look.
Dating in New York is really, really bad right now. Look, I look sexy as fuck.
Mid.
Sexy AF.
Well, you look like a normal woman. Let's just...
And not a single soul has looked in my way, in my direction. My directional pattern.
You look okay. Let's not gas this up too much.
And if I knew no one was gonna stare at me or give me at least a compliment, I would have just worked out at home.
Yeah, here's the thing. Women have ruined the gyms, right? So they went to the gym, they got naked, men approached them, and then they said, hey, I'm just trying to work out. Therefore, men stopped doing that. They said, hey, we don't like catcalling, stop doing that. And so the men said, fine, we're done. And
This is the problem with modern women. You just can't win. Every angle you take, they've got a problem. They've got an issue. It's not good enough. You know what I mean? So what the bottom line and the problem is, what these women don't understand is, like Peryl's saying, men have caught on to women in their games of playing victim if you just try and compliment them. So basically, you're gambling whether the woman likes you or not. So it comes down to if she finds you attractive or not. So you don't know. So as a man, if you try and even say anything to a woman and she doesn't find you attractive, you're a creep, you're this, and she can cause all the scenes, and who knows what it can entail. But if she's attracted to you, you can say what you want. So this is the problem. This is why most men don't bother. Because the guys that actually can't get women are too scared to speak to them because they've been rejected and accused of being a creep. But the guys that can actually get women don't need to approach women, and they don't need to be simping and being, oh, you're so beautiful, because that's just not how it is. Like for me, I'm a guy who can dress decently, go into a nightclub and get a chick. I don't need to try, I never have. You know, I've not been one that's had to have game, and so I just be me. I just be calm, cool, collected, and fun. That's it. And I can get chicks. But I'm not going to go up to a chick and be like, oh, you're so beautiful. And, oh, that's what guys who can't, I'm not being funny, that's what a guy that can't get women will do. But women don't like these guys. So this is where they're putting themselves in a position, be complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining. You know, guys just don't even bother. You know, they're just like, yep. And even now when chicks come up to me, I'm like, you know, I don't even want to bother with them half the time if it's in a nightclub, because I don't know them and I don't know how crazy they are. That's the reality, because you can see in this day and age that there's a lot of crazies out there, and it's not, and I've dealt with a lot in my time. So you just get to a point where you're like, most of the time I'm not even interested in women, to be honest with you, because they bring more trouble than they're worth. You know, that's the reality.
And now the women are mad, yeah.
Like, there's no need for me to be in a sports bra and nobody's asking me out on a date or, like, to leave my house with me. Like, I can't. Also, like, yeah, I'm not an Emrata type bitch, like, feminist type bitch. Like, there's a reason I'm wearing a tiny, tiny sports bra. There's always a reason.
This is the problem. I don't think men can really feel bad for us when we get a dating app and we download it and get, like, 5,000 matches. Now, you might not like all the matches, but out of 5,000, there's got to be someone, right?
I'm in a shitty mood because I'm a 30-year-old trying to date, and it's just painful. I need something. I'm feeling rather annoyed right now, and whenever I feel annoyed, I feel like I need to pop off on something, and that something is usually TikTok, so I feel like when it comes to dating, I've been very chill and calm when it comes to my old, like, set of standards that I held for myself. I'm like, okay, I need, like, what the I need, like, really high standards. Like, I have high standards, and I do, but I feel like with dating, like, I've kind of, like, realized to calm down a little bit in certain areas where I've been so high and mighty and tight with, like, certain things that you need to have, and I, like, been relaxed on that, and I'm still just, like, not seeing or, like, feeling how I feel like I'm supposed to be feeling, and it's just, like, kind of upsetting, because I'm like, okay, not that I'm lowering my standards, I just feel like I'm, like, opening up a little bit more and, like, growing up, realizing that maybe certain things that I used to think were, like, negative.
Yeah, so this is like the epiphany phase. So she's getting close to the point she wants kids. She's got to go away from her type. That's what she's saying. She's mourning, right? She has her type, and now she's mourning that she has to go away from her type.
Negatives are actually positives, and
And the problem is that her type doesn't. What happens is, as these women age, the pretty women, or the decently good-looking women who can get men, they might be sweet and nice when they're younger, but as they get older and older, they lose their looks, they get more bitter, and they become, like, more masculine, more confrontational, more combative, and that makes them even more unappealing. So most of the time, it's not actually their looks that put men off, it's their attitudes. So they go and get Botox and lip fillers and all the fake stuff, when in reality, if they just looked inside and tried to become more feminine, friendly and nice, that would stand them in a whole better stead than going and getting all this fake Botox, this, that. You know, basically you've got a lot of women with Botox and surgery going about with bad attitudes, they're combative, and they're like, I don't need no man and all this craziness. So how are you expecting to get a man? Forget all of the lip fillers or surgeries. The fundamental thing that men are really attracted to is natural women, just women who are nice and friendly and loving. That's it. We don't want an attitude. That is your biggest problem, because the older they get, the more bitter and attitude, combative and hateful they get. That's not attractive to a man in any way, shape or form.
Don't know how to navigate it. I'm in this weird limbo of like trying to grow, trying to learn, and you know when you make excuses for someone in your head, and then you kind of calm yourself down, and then you're like, do I need to be making those excuses? I'm just feeling defeated, because it's really hard to like start over.
That's called taking an L.
I just moved into this new sublet in Tel Aviv, isn't it beautiful? Anyway, today I want to talk about an observation that I made about dating cultures outside the US and why we are really failing as a society in America. I was traveling for like a month in Greece, Italy, Dubai, and Israel, and because I'm a dating app founder, I always ask people about their dating experiences. And I asked a lot of men, you know, what are the girls like in your country? What's it like to date here? And the thing that I kept hearing over and over, specifically in Italy and Israel, is that the women in their country are very difficult and hard to please. In Israel, for example, a woman will never have sex on the first date. Maybe the third, maybe the fourth. First date, not a thing. I also noticed men in these countries will put so much more effort into taking girls out on dates, into actually getting to know them.
So it's a country.
So before, I don't want to interrupt Pearl a bit, but the bottom line is, if a woman is attracted to you, you don't need to bother with dates. You don't need to impress them. They want to impress you. So this is the thing. You need to pick up on these signals. If a woman is not being very receptive, just leave it. Don't try. Don't spend all this money on her and waste your time and effort and energy, right? If a woman does not reciprocate the same level of interest as you or more, then she's not interested, and you're literally trying to force it. And that will never work. And the bottom line is, if you're not that good looking, you need to just improve yourself in every way you can. Gym, working out, mental health, grooming yourself, and then you'll find a match. You will, you know, the more you improve yourself, the more chance you give yourself. But do not, you know, try and win over a woman. It will never work. Maybe back in the day to a degree, but nowadays they will just look down on you. That's the reality. That's the reality. A woman fundamentally in her primal state will, in this day and age, will not respect a man who chases her and tries to win her over. They'll say they like that because they like the attention, but at the end game they won't actually like the guy, because that's not what they're attracted to. Women have to be attracted to you to even begin with. With me, I've pretty much every girl I've slept with, or every chick I've slept with, I'm going back to my youth as well, I never had to take them on dates. I just would, most of the time it would be through mutual friends, and we'd be at parties or whatever, or I would meet them on dating sites and just go and pick them up. You know, that's the reality. Pick them up in the car, boom, we're attracted, there's your firebox. That's all you need. If the attraction is not there, that's when you get all this extra work, this chasing and trying to impress. I'm telling you, you are wasting your time. Put the effort into yourself. Improve yourself to the best possible way you can. And if you think you've stagnated, you need to keep thinking and thinking. Right? Don't get too crazy. Don't make yourself look like a girl. Don't get makeup and, you know, surgery and stuff. I'm just talking about work out. Work on being more masculine. Work on being more stoic. Work on being more cool. Work on being more calm. Work on not getting overly excited or overly nervous around women, and just realise that they're human beings at the end of the day. They might be pretty, but they might not be pretty inside. They might be ugly inside. So don't just see a pretty girl and get nervous and be like, ooh. Just treat them like it's a normal person and just act normal and level yourself up to the best way you can in a man way. You know, get as manly as you can and as good looking as you can. You know, get your beard groomed, but don't make it look too perfect. You know, just keep it at a good length and a good decent shape. Get your hair, get a haircut that suits you. Make sure if you've got a beard, get it to suit you. Just try and find a look that, you know, suits you. You know, and if you've got a feeling deep down it doesn't look good, just doesn't look good, just try and improve it. The bottom line is, do not chase women. It's a recipe for disaster. Do not overly try and impress women. It's a recipe for disaster. The attraction has to be there mutually.
simps, right? Because that's what happened. She probably talked to a simp. Look, women are women. Don't let them sell you the dream of there's these women somewhere else that are not the same. Women act in their environment. So maybe in that environment, they're a little different. But you bring them to America, they do the same thing.
And they're more open to having serious relationships. And in a lot of countries outside the US, if you go on just a few dates with someone, it is automatically assumed that you're exclusive. You don't even have to talk about it. In the US, a man can swipe right on a dating app, meet with a girl that same day.
Who does that more, men or women? Remember, this is projection.
And get into her bed that night.
Who does that more, men or women?
So why would he ever want to commit? He has thousands of girls at his disposal.
Who has thousands of the opposite gender at their disposal, men or women? What man gets thousands of matches on a date? Is that your dating app experience, fellas? How many men get that?
That he can have sex with. I totally believe that a woman has control of what she wants to do with her body. I believe sexual experience is very important, but at the same time, I think we are totally shooting ourselves in the foot by being so supportive of sexual liberation. And this goes both ways. Man, woman, gay, straight, the more sexual options you have, the less likely you are to commit, the more likely you are to flake, to ghost, to not be serious about someone. So yes, the women in these countries might be more difficult to please, but what's the opposite of difficult? Easy. Is that what we want to be in the US? I don't know.
Now this is the old, we want to raise the price on a bad product. To charge high prices, you got to have a good product. Again, this is a mid wanting 8+ treatment. Unfortunately, you know, the mids got to know their...
I wouldn't even class that chick as a mid. Like, I would honestly, in my opinion, say she's a 4. Like, that's just my opinion, you know. And it's called hoflation. You know, these women are getting more damaged, more ungrateful, more hateful, more venomous, more anti-man, but they want everything. And you've got, what is it, the 666, the mark of the devil, 6 figures, a 6-pack, and, you know, you've got to be at least 6 foot. Oh, and obviously maybe 6 inches down below. So that's what they give the minimum, you know. They give all these stipulations. If you meet a chick and she hits you with that, she's not attracted to you. Just don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. The bottom line is, if a woman is attracted to you, she will make herself available to you. Period.
Place. So here's a woman who's crying in her car because of dating.
This might be dramatic. I'm not saying that it's not. Is anyone else just tired of dating? I literally just sat in my car for 20 minutes.
Oh, this isn't the crying I was promised.
Crying because I'm so tired of pointless.
She just got ghosted.
This conversations and meaningless
Yeah, her favorite guy ghosted her.
interactions with people that go absolutely nowhere. And by the way, no one has hurt my feelings. Nothing has happened to trigger this.
And I bet this chick has got at least, let's just say at least 5 guys in her DMs or her dating apps or her Instagram, at least 5. That's me just being on a lowball number that are interested in her. But she has zero interest because the product don't make enough money, they're not tall enough, they're not her specific look. You know, this is how picky women are. And they'll sit and cry like this when there's guys that they could speak to, but just because fundamentally they're not attracted to them for whatever silly little reason, they will just ignore these men and chase specific guys, the hottest of the hot in their mind and to other women. So what happens is, we all know it, all women end up chasing the same guys and sleeping with the same guys, and this is how we get in this mess.
She's lying.
Except for me just realizing, like, what is the point? Truly. Like, no one dates with intention and actually wants anything serious, and it's just like
the guys that she likes don't date with intention.
Constant disappointment, and I'm just tired of having that negative energy in my life. I also feel like I'm getting older, and it's like I have to put some effort into dating or I'm just gonna be alone forever. But now I'm just honestly getting to a point where I'm just gonna be the single aunt.
Good luck. Next, we got a girl who got ghosted on a date.
So welcome to I Just Got Ghosted. Where do we even begin? So to start this one off, I really resonated with a girl from Melbourne who posted recently that she went on a Hinge date, was at the restaurant, and he never showed up. And then he blocked her on everything. So for some context, I live in Queensland on the Gold Coast. I'm originally from Melbourne, so my family's in Melbourne. I was down 2 weeks ago and matched with this guy on Tinder, and yeah, for 2 weeks now we have been talking every day, on the phone, voice notes, talking non-stop.
See, this is another example of a woman who is obviously ugly inside, because she's, as you can see, she's trying everything else other than to account and address herself and hold herself accountable. So she's getting the lip fillers, she looks like she's got some Botox going on, there's no movement in her face. She's trying all these different tactics because she thinks that's what's going to get men. But if you took the fillers out and you took the Botox away, she's not a bad looking woman. It's inside, in my opinion, with these chicks. All these Botox lips, they're missing the mark. It's not your looks, it's the ugliness inside. You have to address yourself, and this is where these women are going wrong. They need to address their attitude problems and their root cause of their bad attitudes, their combativeness, their mental games. You know, men, see, if you took away her fillers and all her fakeness, right, and she was just a friendly, easygoing woman, and, you know, she was easily led, like, you know, she wasn't demanding, or the bottom line is, right, men just want peace, women that bring peace, not chaos. These types of women bring chaos to your life, and it can be in a numerous different ways. But like I said, they think that getting Botox and all this fake lip fillers, fake this, butt lifts, whatever, is going to magically make these men want them. It's not their looks that's the problem. It's the inside, it's their attitude.
When I said to him, you know, he kept saying we need to catch up, and I was like, well, do you want me to come down Easter weekend? He said, absolutely, I'll book your flights, whatnot. So today is Easter Saturday. I am in Melbourne. I landed this morning. We've been talking all day. I was meant to meet him this evening. I got all dressed up and ready to go. And at 5 p.m, he sent his last message.
And found a better option. Yep. A mid got...
What you'll find happened there is she's probably said something, because what happens with, right, see guys that have got a lot of experience with women, they get past the stage of ignoring the red flags, and then you start to become selective, and you start to really, you can be speaking to a chick for a day or two, and then you'll figure something out. You're like, right, you see a red flag, you're hyper tuned to red flags, and once you see it, you just sort of swerve. And this is what happens. So she's done something or said something that's put him off. Maybe he has just found a better option, but you'll probably find she's done something to put him off, and most guys will just swerve. That's the reality. Once you get a guy that's hyper tuned into women's nature and they can see the red flags, they'll just swerve, and that's why these women get ghosted. I'm not saying in every case, but I would hazard a guess and a bet that it's most cases. When a decent looking chick just gets ghosted, it's not for no reason, you know. She's done something.
Got ghosted. This is the life of a mid. Yeah, he found someone better.
That he was running to his mother's place to drop something.
See, I would disagree. I would say you take her fillers out and whatever she's got going on, and she maybe lost a little bit of weight, she would be at least a 7, you know?
Off, and then we would spend the weekend together. That was it. That was the last I've heard. Just vanished, poof, into thin air. I've been actively dating on Hinge and Tinder for maybe 6-7 months now, and let me tell you, all my dating stories are absolute disasters, but this is the...
So there you go, she's been actively dating. How many dates? Why? And this is what I'm saying about these women. It can't be all the men that's the problem, but she believes it is. the last place and the place that these women will never go is accountability and self-assessment and looking in the mirror and saying, is it me? They'll look at it on a cosmetic level and see, is it how I look? And then they'll be like, oh, I need to change this and this and this in my makeup, and I need to plaster my face in makeup and get Botox. No, the problem is you need to address your issues, your attitude, your combativeness, whatever it is. There's something wrong with how you're approaching men. That's it, fundamentally. You need to be more, I don't know, it's like these women just, they have no, like, loyalty. It's like, I don't know, it's like they just go on date after date after date after date after date after date, and it's like, well, at what point do you say, right, it must be me, you know? Because the common person in the equation is them. And look, I'm not saying every woman is bad, that's not what I'm saying, but when you get women like her who are sitting saying, oh, I just got ghosted and I've been actively dating for months, it's like, well, you're not a terrible looking woman, right? It must be you, because most guys would be happy to have her as a girlfriend. Let's be real. There's a lot of guys that would be, but she just can't find somebody, but she's been actively dating. So what you'll find is she's probably been on 20 dates and only like 1 or 2 guys, and the other 18 probably like her, but she's only interested in the 2 that don't really want her. This is the insanity of how women live in modern dating.
First time I've been...
I bet she's a catfish. She kind of looks like she would be a catfish. Like the lips, the eyebrows, super hot. Yeah.
Ghosted before actually meeting. And yeah, I gave up shifts this weekend to come down and spend the weekend with this guy, and no excuse, just nothing. I know in hindsight I just think everything happens for a reason. That was what it was meant to.
See, everything happens for a reason. You know, it's never me. You know, you notice how she's never saying maybe I've done something, or no accountability. It's just this guy is bad.
Happen in the universe. But like, why me? I'm just out here trying to find my soulmate. And
now, but it's like, what were you doing before? Be real, be honest.
And I don't know where he is or if he's lost.
He was in your friend zone 10 years ago. Yeah, that's where he was.
I think he's stranded at sea somewhere. If he is, can the Coast Guard go and find him?
Dating someone hotter. Sorry. Just is what it is, right?
It's not even necessarily he's dating somebody hotter. He's maybe found somebody that he sees as more feminine and more friendly and more cooperative and less combative. Because 9 times out of 10, that is what it comes down to. That is what a guy will decide on. I'm talking about the guys that can get women. That is what deciphers whether they cut a woman off or they keep them in their life, is how basically easy are they to deal with. Do they bring peace or chaos? You know, or do guys see potential for chaos? And when guys know women's nature, and they've been with a lot of women, they understand this and they can see the patterns of a damaged woman or a woman who is actually, you know, semi-decent and semi-normal and got potential. And he's obviously, like I said, seen something in her that he's not liked, and he's just gave her a swerve. And maybe, you know, there's another chick that's more on his wavelength and that he sees more potential in. And it's just that simple. But women like her will never take accountability, and they will just live their life on repeat, and that's how they end up cat ladies with drinking wine. That's what the new phenomenon is. So if you're into gambling and you're into stocks, it's not financial advice, but maybe investing in wine shares and, you know, cat food shares would be a good option, looking at the state of dating.
It's kind of like when a man gets left, like in a marriage or something. It's not really a nice reality to think, well, she's hooking up with someone better than me, right? I mean, but that's what she's doing. And if he's turning down easy sex, it's one of 3 things. He figured out you were a catfish. Now he doesn't care. Number 2, he found someone better, like younger, hotter, whatever. Or 3, he had an opportunity like that came up and he didn't really think you were worth telling. And usually it's an opportunity for sex with someone better. So
find him and bring him to.
Well, I mean, it does depend on the guy, but like if you're talking about a guy that's actually looking for a girlfriend, you know, if a guy's been through a lot of women, you know, and he's at a stage, you know, I want to find a chick. What happens is when guys are younger, they don't care about red flags. You know, they're full of testosterone, young, dumb, and full of, you know what, and they'll just put it in any old hole and have a good time. There could be red flags everywhere, but they've got one mission, and that's to, you know, get a hole. But as you get older, you get more experience, and especially guys who can get women, you start to learn women's nature and see patterns. And it gets to a point where you only have to speak to a chick for maybe a few days or a week, and then something happens. There's a chink in their armour, they have a bit of an attitude or a meltdown, or they act strange, out of the norm, and you can see, there it is. That's where the path to chaos is going to lead me. So I will just swear that on to the next. And that's the reality. But these women will not take accountability, and they'll just sit and say, men, what's happening? I'm just here, little old innocent me, going through man after man after man after man, date after date after date. What's wrong with men? It's not me. It's men. It's not me. It can't be me. I've dated 100 men in my life, but it's not me. I just can't find love. Well, for every 100 men she's dated, there's probably 500 in her DMs. You know, this is the reality, but they only want, like, they're so picky. Modern women are so picky. And it's not just that, it's their attitude. And like I say, the further they get through life, the more bitter they get, the more resentful they get, and the more chaotic they get. That's the reality.
For sure, because I moved states to find a man, and I'm not finding any in Queensland. So I thought, I'll try someone from Melbourne and see. He was like, yep, if I met the right person, I would happily move.
Well, guys, women are not enjoying the dating market too much. It's been rough out there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who has it harder in dating, men or women?
Yeah, so it comes down to women. A bit of advice: stop getting Botox, stop getting surgery, stop being fake, stop plastering yourself in makeup and getting eyelash extensions and fake. You claim you want a real man, be real. Stop all the fakeness, go back to yourself and address yourself and say, wait, am I maybe a bit combative? Am I maybe a bit bitchy? Do I need to address this, rein it in, you know, humble myself a bit? And maybe just be a bit more respectful and a bit more peaceful, and try and bring peace to a guy's life rather than chaotic games and insanity and attitude and madness and red flags all over the place. You know, you have to fundamentally be able to sit and address yourself and be real with yourself, because if you constantly live in a state of delusion and thinking, if I get Botox and surgery, I'm going to meet my man, that's not the problem. You know, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing these women get more and more and more and more surgery that just looks ridiculous, but they're still not finding a man. When the answer's there all along, it's in them. They need to address themselves. It's not about the outward appearance all the time. That's not what the top guys go for, you know, because there's a point where the top guys can get pretty women 10 to a dozen, or as easy as pie, but it comes down to, once you get past the looks, it's the personality. So that is what women really need to work on: accountability and making themselves, presenting themselves in a way and moulding themselves in a way that they bring peace to a man's life, not chaos. That's it. So I hope you got some good information from that video, men and women. I'm not here to bash women or hate women, but that's just my observation from seeing what I see in the dating scene, my own personal experience that I've lived, and just seeing, you know, you just have to go on YouTube and all these reels of women that are just deluded, you know, sitting going, I just can't get a man, and I'm dating, but I just can't find a guy. It's all men's fault. But we all know that these women, like I say, they'll go on 20, 30, 40 dates, and they'll probably only really like 1 or 2 or 3 guys, but these 1 or 2 or 3 guys have got 30, 40, 50 women to choose from, or whatever. Maybe not in every case, but at least a few. So This is the problem. And these women don't say, right, maybe I could just lower my standards, you know. The problem is that if you've got a young, good-looking woman who can't find a man, there's something wrong fundamentally, because that just shouldn't be the case, you know. And we all know that these women chase the top guys with money and looks and height. That's never going to really be a recipe for success in a relationship. That's just, you know, cosmetic and, you know, fake sort of things. That's nothing of substance. Real love is about getting to know a person. But these women will overlook a guy if he's 5'11", you know, and he's not 6 foot. This is how insane it has got. So that's what I'm saying. Women just need to look in the mirror and not at their outward appearance, but actually look, you know, at themselves, who they are as a person, and say, is it maybe me? Because I don't think a lot of modern women are doing that. But if they do, the dating scene could change. Maybe. But, yep, I'm going to end the video there. If you've got any comments, you disagree, agree, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.